favorite Triple H moment. Now, I think to Champ, he'll probably give me credit because a couple of weeks ago or last week, we did favorite Jim Ross moment. And one of our favorite Jim Ross moments was the commentary he gave on Triple H Shawn Michaels post SummerSlam 2002. Remember when Triple H hits Shawn Michaels in the back with the sledgehammer, of course, and then Jim Ross went off with the commentary. Casual, I'm gonna let you go first. What is your favorite Triple H moment?
I ain't even get a chance for me to prep for this. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna say 2003. It was getting around SummerSlam time. Shawn Michaels had just returned, and he had gotten brutally beaten backstage. And for like weeks, it was like this whodunit going around. And lo and behold, it was Triple H all along, which got us into the storyline. They got us SummerSlam, which I think is one of the greatest matches Shawn Michaels has ever given us, and it was his first match back in action around that time. So I would say, and then especially the story that goes back to like during the match where Shawn's wife, after the because Shawn Michaels had came back from back surgery, his wife was seriously concerned about him coming back, and Triple H said that he literally told her, "Yeah, I'm gonna take care of him. I'm gonna make sure he's okay." All while putting him in like one of the most hardcore matches that you could possibly book at that time. And not only that, he took a sledgehammer to the back after winning the match, but yet Triple H took care of him. I think that's the Triple H that I view as his best version. And so yeah, that's my favorite memory of Triple H.
Mitch.
So I got a couple.
Go ahead.
It's the WrestleManias between him and Undertaker. You can include the Hell in a Cell. You can include the first one. But those are my two top. They're tied. I can't put one over the other. You just can't. And that kick out that the Undertaker had from like the super kick,
the Sweet Chin Music,
thank you, to the pedigree, and he kicks out. He kicked out of that. That's my favorite memory. That's it right there. And then you can put in the WrestleMania match with him and John Cena. You can put that in there. You can put him on at the what was it? He was on the roof. He was on the roof of like the WWE headquarters.
And him and Shawn with the DX
with the DX, yeah. So you can put that there as well. But for me, I'm going with both WrestleManias. That's mine.
I think Champ would probably say, and he mentioned a certain match with Triple H. Even though my GOAT, remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, the 3 stages of hell?
Yes.
You want to continue, Champ?
That was arguably one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. 2001, No Way Out, right before WrestleMania. And Triple H beat him 2 straight falls. Beat him in the street fight and beat him in the cage. And back then, a cage match was considered Stone Cold's forte at a certain point. So for him to beat him 2 straight falls, and this was at Stone Cold's peak, like his peak, after he had won the Royal Rumble. And then remember what happened the very next night. I have beaten everybody that there is to beat. I have taken your heroes. I have beaten every single one of them. But there's a promo that I want to point out about Triple H. It was him, and again, it was between him and a Georgia Bulldog. We all know and love is Goldberg. And I never forget something that Triple H said. He said, Goldberg, what makes you so damn different than anybody else? How many people have walked down that line? Rock, Austin, Nash, RVD, HBK. What makes you so different than either one of them? Because they all thought that they could get the job done. All the fans thought that they could get the job done. And each and every last one of them failed. And when you really think about it, Triple H as a heel has beaten some of the greatest baby faces of all time. I mean, he was today what Ric Flair was back in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, not only that, coming up with people love DX Triple H, but Evolution Triple H was that deal. I mean, Evolution Triple H, the leader of the pack. I mean, flashy. I mean, the suits, the Ferrari, going to the Ferrari shows, being on the side, being in the front row of a New York Knicks game in Madison Square Garden. I mean, essentially recreating a better version of the Four Horsemen, a way better version. Because the thing is, although Tully Blanchard and Ole Anderson, they were great in their own right, you know, Randy Orton and Batista, they became multiple-time world champions. Multiple. So for him to recreate the Four Horsemen and for them to exceed them in certain ways, I think that's the top Triple H moment. And not to mention, you know, although I kind of hate that year because it seemed like, and I think people can back me up on this, because it seemed like in 2003, although Evolution was at their height, it seems like they did everything that year to undermine WCW. Because if you notice that year, that was his longest title reign. And all those guys that he beat outside of Goldberg, because Goldberg beat him twice, you know, once at Unforgiven and then at Survivor Series. Remember, he beat Big Papa Pump.
Ross's commentary?
Yeah. Remember, he beat Big Papa Pump at the Royal Rumble at No Way Out when Evolution first formed, beat Booker T at WrestleMania, and then it just went. Then Kevin Nash at Bad Blood and at Judgment Day. So it seems like that reign of terror. And if you really look at it, all of those stars, all five of those guys, including Goldberg, have one thing in common: at the apex of WCW, those were the top guys. So, I mean, although, you know, that was a time where he was just squashing WCW guys, how I feel to just undermine WCW to show them I'm the real. You put WCW against me, the face of the WWE, and all of them will fall. I think 2003 was arguably Triple H's greatest year because Evolution and that title reign was no joke. Not to mention avenging his loss at only the second Elimination Chamber. Because remember, that first one, he not only lost, but he tore his trachea as well.
Yeah. BRF.
Oh, man. Triple H is my favorite heel of all time. He's my favorite. Just his ability to cut promos, his ability to make you feel what he was about to do, and it was just like the Evolution form of him is probably my favorite version of him too, just because it was like I feel like it was the best balance of. I mean, I don't know. It's like it kind of. I think a good comparison to that Triple H is like the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. I think it's a good comparison. The paranoia of, you know, wanting to be the best, wanting the validation, you know, all of this, wanting people to remind him how great he is. But then it's like he'd go out there and he just, you know, line him up, beat him. No matter how he beat him, he got it done, got him out the way, moved on. But if I had to pick, well, for one, an underrated Triple H match is WrestleMania 31 with Sting, even though Sting should have won. It was a really, really good match. It was a really good match and underrated. I mean, just, I don't know, that whole DX NWO segment of that match was just like, it was funny, but it was almost like a good way to kind of like put the bow on the whole WCW side of it. And Champ, you're talking about Triple H running through all those WCW guys in 2003. Well, sure enough, WrestleMania 21, he goes through Sting, and I'm just like, bro, just let one of them beat you one. Just let him beat you once. You ain't got to beat them all, bro. Just let him get one. But this is what I'll say. My favorite Triple H moment is not just a moment; it's It's a rivalry. I think the greatest rivalry in the history of professional wrestling, not WWE, not just any organization. I think the best rivalry of professional wrestling history was him and Shawn Michaels from 02 to 04. The matches they put on were, I mean, it was just like the storytelling, the physicality, just everything they did to each other was just like if you could just line them all up from SummerSlam 02 all the way to Bad Blood 04 and that Hell in a Cell match, which is still the longest Hell in a Cell match in the history of the match. It was perfect. I mean, SummerSlam 02. No, here's the thing: we don't even talk about Royal Rumble. What was it? Royal Rumble. Was Royal Rumble 03 the Last Man Standing match with him and Shawn?
04.
04. Yeah. The 04 Last Man Standing match. No, we don't even talk about that. That ended in a draw. Like, bro, it was just everything they did was just perfect to a T. Because that question always existed. Okay, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, who's better? And it was just the perfect illustration of just those two just trying to, seeing who was better than the other one. And I mean, that Hell in a Cell match. I mean, that's one of the more underrated. That's one of the. Bad Blood 04. That's one of the more underrated Hell in a Cell matches of all time, because everybody focuses on just how long that match was, but they did so much, and it just painted a story. It was like, and the end was just perfect. Like, they're just throwing blows at each other, and then Triple H finally hits that one pedigree, and they're just spent. They're just done, and then Triple H just puts put the hand on him, like could barely move, and just puts the hand on him, gets the 1, 2, 3, and it's just like they told how evenly matched the rivalry was, that it ended the way it did like that was just so beautifully done. That rivalry, in my opinion, for me, it goes down as the greatest of all time, just because you got a guy like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and they just told so many immaculate, perfect stories in all of their matches. And just, I feel like the only rivalry in recent memory for me that comes close to Triple H and Shawn Michaels, just off of the hatred alone for me, is Edge and Cena. Outside of that, in terms of sheer hatred, that my favorite moment is that entire Triple H Shawn Michaels rivalry. That was just perfect. That whole rivalry was perfect.